That tasteful bass line that I personally myself composed is a good indication that it's time for Tasteful Nudes with our friend Jamie Noodles McLennan, our hockey analyst. Jamie, how about these Ottawa Senators under Jacques Martin, now 8-10-2? But that was quite a comeback on Monday night against Nashville. Curious to get your thoughts on how they pulled it off.
Well, I think after the first period, there was a regrouping situation. And Jacques Martin, I had him in Florida. He's not a guy to come in and kick garbage cans around and be yelling and screaming, but I would have to think that there was probably a few things said after the first period, whether that was the leadership group, it was the coaching, or a combination of both. And he did make the goaltending change where Matt Sogard came out and Korpisalo came in and was unbelievable on the penalty kill in that second period. That was, for me, the TSN turning point. And then the captain. I think the captain put the team on his back. He was relentless, and they got the job done. And I just thought they did a great job. And the first 20 minutes, you almost had to throw that out the window because you don't want to watch that on video, but you're happy with the last 40-plus minutes where they get it done in overtime.
You mentioned Jacques Martin. He's doing a good job now. It's pretty obvious he probably won't be there next season. Who do you feel the Sens should be targeting as their next head coach going into next season?
Well, yes, if Steve Staios and the management group decide that Jacques Martin's going to go back into senior management and they're going to look for another coach, there's plenty of good candidates out there. You look at a guy like Jay Woodcroft, who had a winning record with the Edmonton Oilers, Claude Julien, who I ran into actually in Ottawa the other day, and even Joel Quenneville, although Joel Quenneville needs to be reinstated. But this is the guy that I would be all over. It's Craig Berube, my former teammate. He's tough but fair. He's a player's coach. He's a winner. He's got a commanding presence. He's big on accountability. And a lot like Rick Tocchet, the way those guys played personally, they did it the hard way, where they backed it up from a physicality standpoint, but they also could find the back of the net. And can you imagine being a player on the bench and you turn around and Craig Berube staring at you? Just like in Vancouver, Rick Tocchet staring at you. There is that accountability. And I think that Craig Berube, if they do decide to make a coaching change, he would be a perfect fit within that organization.
Oh, I think that's an excellent suggestion. And yes, Craig Berube, still terrifying. Jamie, Steve Staios, we talked about him. He says, quote, he's exploring all options ahead of the March the 8th trade deadline. You cover this team so closely. You don't want to be in this position next season. We thought they'd break out this year. It hasn't happened. What's a move you feel this team could make going into the deadline that might prevent them from having to deal with another playoff-less year next year?
I think it's some subtle tweaks. So there's going to be a couple moves for me. Let's start with the back end, because they've got a wealth of left-handed shot defensemen. He starts with Shabbat, Sanderson, Chychrun, Brandstrom. They've got a kid in the minors named Tyler Clevin. Those are all left-hand shots. So, they don't want to play on their offside, which isn't natural. On the right side, you've got Zub. You've got Jacob Bernard-Docker, and you've got an expiring contract in Travis Hamonic. So you've got to sort it out and just figure out what that's going to look like. And up front, you've got to figure out a little bit more, we'll call it veteran presence, because Claude Giroux has been unbelievable. At 35 years old last year, 36 years old this season, he comes as advertised because he gets it done on the ice, and he's been a terrific mentor for some of these young players. If you can add another one of those or two of those types of players that can contribute, but they can also be great mentors for young players like Tim Stützle, Shane Pinto, Ridley Gregg, Brady Tkachuk, Josh Norris. I mean, the list goes on and on. Drake Batherson. These guys are 25 and under. I think they need a little bit more veteran help surrounding them. And I think that's what Steve Staios would be, and his management group would be focused on moving forward.
Big win for the Sens on Monday. They'll try to head into the All-Star break with another win. They will visit Detroit on Wednesday. Jamie, you are great. This has been another exciting edition of Tasteful.